So today's guest, he's a storyboard artist from things like Star Trek Lower Decks, ThunderCats Roar, animator, illustrator, Tales of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Casagrandes Movie. He's also worked with We Lost Our Human, Cat Burglar, and Boons and Curses. Guys, give it up for the one and only Ian Higginbotham.
Hey, good.
Hey. Say that right?
Yeah, you nailed it. First time. I get a lot of Higginbottom. I just skip the H. It's a little rude. But
Every little letter gets an enunciation.
Yeah.
So Ian, I gotta say, I gotta ask. We're gonna start with the hardball questions because, as you know, that's how we do it here.
Yeah.
I gotta ask. Your hands are cut off today. What are you doing with the rest of your life, dude?
Whew. Hands are cut off.
At the wrist too. Like, you don't get none of this.
You
this
no
elbow
longer.
stuff. It's
You're
like
not
at the
drawing
wrist.
anymore, man.
Okay.
You're not drawing.
Foot model, maybe. I got some decent.
You got sexy feet.
Toes.
Nice.
I got some sexy feet. I'd probably write.
Heard it here first.
No, I'd probably go to writing. I need some sort of creative outlet. Because if I was like, oh, maybe I could become like a park ranger, but you kind of need your hands if you're out in the park, to fend off like a wild animal. I don't know. So that's a big one. That's a big major life change. That's pretty heavy. I'm
getting the pencil like little nub sleeve, so it's just a pencil.
Yeah, you could find a way. I mean, people draw with their mouths.
That's true.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'd probably stick to writing. Oh, I couldn't type, but you can dictate to it.
We'd get you one of them saw contraptions, dude, and it's just a bunch of fingers, and you just
there you
go. Peck letters. Yeah,
I'm into that.
But no, that's good. I mean, you heard it here first, guys. Feet model. That's what Ian's doing. Feet model.
They're all right. They could, they'd probably have to be like the shadier side of foot modeling, but for the real
dark
perverts.
web.
Yeah, the real freaks.
Okay, so first of all, you've worked on a ton of cartoons. I just want to ask you out the gate, what has been your favorite production that you've worked on?
Oh wow, that's interesting. I don't. It's hard to play favorites. Because each production has its like highs and lows, and has a significance to me in some way in terms of like what I learned. But all were like all are like hard in a way, but because each like you're kind of starting over with each production. But I guess in terms of I guess I would start. There's like two that stick out in my head. One being Unicorn Warriors Eternal.
Oh, yeah.
Because I got to work with Genndy Tartakovsky, who was like my animation hero. And to work with him one-on-one was an insane experience. And it definitely like opened my mind up in terms of like storytelling and my process and just, really like... how do you say it? Like trusting my instincts. And then, yeah, I mean, I can go into it. It was really,
go
cool.
into it because I mean, Genndy is a hero of mine as well. He's to be able to work with a guy like that has to be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, he's just, he's a genius essentially. He could stuff that would take a normal story artist like to solve a problem he could do in like 5 minutes. I mean, he would like sit there and just like, oh, okay, we do this and just draw it out and be like, what? Oh, of course. I'm like, that was like this, it's just, he just has 50 years of knowledge and experience that he can just like pull out. But yeah, that was a cool experience. Like he hit me up via email during the pandemic. So this is like, I don't know, was it 2020, 2019? We're kind of just starting. And I thought it was fake because I was like, oh, okay, yeah, Genndy Tartakovsky hit email.
How much money is he going to ask for?
I'm like, all right, dude. Yeah. And I was like, wait, is this him? And then we did an interview and I was like, oh, shit, there he is. So we worked on it. I worked on 3 episodes. I storyboarded and then he did the rest while simultaneously doing Primal season 2. So he's just insane. I mean, and that's very rare. Most teams that I've worked on, there's at least 2 to 3 board artists on a team, a director who also is storyboarding, and then and then there's like 3 teams. So that's 9 board artists, and then I've worked, and on this thing, it was like bare bones. It was just Genndy and me boarding.
No shit. That's wild.
So it was crazy. So, I mean, yeah, I like boarded the whole episode, and then, he give notes, give feedback, like clean up, kind of thing. So that was like, like I said, I got a lot of time just to like spend with who, is one of my animation heroes. I didn't tell him that right away, because I didn't want to be like,
gotta be cool.
Actually,
yeah.
You were one of the reasons I do this. I'd be like, oh man, it's cool. We're like buds, we're like, but no. I mean, that's the thing. He did 7 episodes, 22 minutes, bam, just busting them out. And I mean, it's just insane. I mean, I guess that's probably more common in like the Japanese pipeline, where I think the director does most of the storyboarding, but it's very rare in the US. So that experience was great.
Did you find yourself changing up your normal storyboarding process because you had such a master to work with?
Yeah, no. So I would say before that I would tend to so when you get the script, and I would tend to stick very closely to the script. And when I did that, I felt you get a little restricted, but you're like, well, the script is God, so you don't want to like change it. And some shows are like that, like where they really don't want you to change. It depends on like what production. But on this, there was freedom. Like he basically, like I think he was like noting up a section of mine, and he was like, you should have the characters like enter here, like do this. And I remember thinking when I was reading the script, like, it'd be cool if they did this, but I don't want to like, it's like his script, I don't want to like fuck it up, like whatever.
Right. And
I said that, I was like, actually I had that idea, but he says that, says this happens like this. And he was like, hey, the script is like, it's like a suggestion. If you have a better idea, go for it. Go for that one.
Nice.
Like, you're a part of this process.
That's really cool.
So it like that, like unlocked my brain. I was like, oh, so I can just, so like, to me, it became about like, you get the script, but you don't want to like see exactly what's in the script. You kind of want to be surprised. That's part of like what's fun about the creative process. Is like, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, it's the same essence of what the is in the script. It's essentially what it's about, but you putting your own twist on it. And so that was just like a big like mind opening experience for me. So that changed. So after that, I've done that on every project since. I just trust my instincts, and it usually works out. Sometimes I would say 99% of the time it works out. 90%, 85%.
Yeah, at the beginning of that, you said that Genndy, working with him, he would solve a problem like that immediately. Do you think any of that rubbed off on you after working with him? Are you faster at the process in any way?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that just comes from like pencil mileage,
Yeah.
Because since then I've worked on a bunch of different productions, and I was because I had worked on before that I was on Cat Burglar. I jumped from Cat Burglar. Yeah. So I had just had a few, not like, I was just like, I would say like getting out of green stage to like starting to like form what makes me who I am as a board artist. And
well, let's talk a little bit.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. No.
I didn't mean to cut you off. No.
Damn it, Fred. So yeah, I did it. But yeah. No. Go ahead, man. I lost my train of thought, anyways.
Well. All right. So you brung up Cat Burglar, and you worked on Cat Burglar and We Lost Our Human at Netflix. Those are both interactive cartoons. That's kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
Was working in an interactive cartoon a different process than any other cartoons?
Yeah, definitely. So for We Lost Our Human, that you had to board it so that if all right, this is kind of complicated. It basically had to be like they all start, if this was like a linear line, right? They all had to start in the same place, and then you would have to do like several different versions that like diverge from that, and then they would have to link up at the end. So you could go like so if your character is like, oh, they picked up this item, then you have to like you would have to board it so that that item came into play during this choice. But then that's like that splits off, because then you have, because you might choose like, oh, does the character go in the tunnel or does the character go on the bridge? And if you chose the bridge, well, did they choose to grab the rope or the sword? All right, and then you got to board that version. So it was really, we got it eventually. Like at first it was like, when I'm explaining it to you right now, it's like, how the hell did you fucking do that?
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of boards.
But when you get into it,
that's like D&D mixed with the Marvel Cinematic Universe there, dude.
Yeah.
Just timelines on timelines, D&D choices upon choices, like that's nuts.
I think they broke it down, like there's like 1 million something variants you can do, like playthroughs, like where you won't ever get. So
Oh my
it's
gosh.
like everyone who plays that will have a different experience, which is really cool.
That is cool.
And but yeah, it was crazy. But eventually it like clicked, and we just kind of got it. It was like, okay, I can change this much of the scene, but you could kind of board it so like, you know, it's like, well, the character's running this way. All I have to do is just make sure to add like the sword on his back, and then that's it. So you're not really reboarding too much. But then other times it would be like, okay, well, you know, this character's being chased by zombies. They chose to go up on the roof, and then, oh wait, well, I didn't go on the roof. I stayed in the house, and then the character goes into the bathroom, and then, you know, it was like all these. It was crazy, but I had a great time.
You mentioned a little bit like pencil hours, taking your traditional way of boarding stuff and then applying it to this new interactive form, where there's some like disciplines that crossed over, or it wasn't necessarily a new playbook, right? Like, but there are some things that maybe crossed over that helped a little bit.
No, I would say it generally, in terms of like storytelling, I think like in the beginning we were working off outlines, which made it really hard, because then you would have to, because if you changed a line or you changed the thing that like this is like so kind of going back, this is probably what happened with like Unicorn, from We Lost Our Human to Unicorn, because on We Lost Our Human you really got to stick to the script, because otherwise you're gonna fuck up the timeline, and it's like because one little like butterfly effect over here is gonna affect the pipeline, you know, six months from now, you know. So like, so like in terms of like that, it really wasn't that different in terms of like storyboarding, like how I was drawing, or even getting kicked off like on an episode. It was like, you know, instead of like, you know, instead of getting an episode, you get like tracks or scenes or whatever. And then but yeah, I would say I did in terms of like my story process, it just was just like keeping track that this is going to be, I'm going to have to do the scene several different times, and where can I use the same drawings or same layouts, and then where does it need to diverge? So that was probably like the biggest difference, boarding on a regular project, you know, like a TV show or something, or a movie.
Cool.
But, you know, I'm on a movie right now, and we're you know, you do hundreds of different versions of a scene, which is really interesting.
What movie can we know?
It's not announced yet, but it will be
Oh,
very cool. Maybe in 5 years. I don't know how long ever these things take.
Well, okay. So at the beginning of your career, I saw you were working on ThunderCats Roar and Star Trek Lower Decks. Now, those are properties that have been made previously. Did you do any research or go back and watch all ThunderCats or watch all Star Trek before moving to that project? Or did you kind of want to bring a new light to it and just go in fresh?
So with ThunderCats Roar, that was my first like in studio. Before that, I was like freelancing. But I mean, I'd watched ThunderCats as a kid. Like, I knew of the, everybody knows like the intro. Like it's the most amazing animated intro ever. And then you watch the show, and that doesn't necessarily translate. I think we like look at it with like rose-colored tinted glasses, and it's like, wait a second, there's like all these weird pops, and like characters are like, hey, they're like super stiff because those models are incredibly hard to animate, especially on a TV timeline and budget. So I thought what they did with ThunderCats Roar was like brilliant, like focusing on the comedy, and making the characters all squishy, because that's easier to animate. And Victor Courtwright, the showrunner, he's like another animation genius. And there's like the choices he made. I mean, it's unfortunate because when it got announced, we got a lot of hate when that thing came out. I don't know if you remember that.
You know what's funny is I didn't know ThunderCats Roar existed, and going into this interview, I was like, all right, I'm going to watch this. And it was really cool. I've never seen anyone adapt an old cartoon the way they did this one. Besides, like maybe Teen Titans Go kind of did something similar. But I mean, but was that even an animation? That was like a comic. So
Teen Titans Go was like a show. I think it was kind of in that Justice League style, kind of Bruce Timm, style of character design. But yeah, with the Thundercat, we did watch old episodes, because every character in there is from the original series. So if you have if an obscure weirdo character pops up, it's from the original series. I think maybe there was one. There was like a few, but mostly they tried to reference it as much as they could, and then just put a more comedic twist on it. And then there was action. I mean, it was really fun. It was trying to capture that intro. So if you watch, there's crazy camera moves, and it gets pretty nuts. I mean, they had some my director on that, Jeremy Polgar, is like an amazing action animator. And he was,
he did a lot of cool music videos that I've seen.
Yeah. He did. He did like, what's it called? I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, it was like for this, these like two aliens like through space.
Yeah.
And he did stuff for, he's like animated on anime. Like he did like Space Dandy stuff. So like he was in there. We were all like doing like crazy animation when we could. And then also just making it funny. And then Lower Decks. Yeah, I knew about TNG like tangentially, and I'd watched a few episodes growing up, but I wouldn't say I was like a huge Star Trek fan when I joined. But then I definitely became more of a fan, like, because we would reference, I remember, we would watch in terms of we want it to feel like the old series. So we would watch old episodes and kind of choose similar shot layouts in terms of like talking head stuff. So, and then it was like, and then we'd really push it, I think the first episode I worked on the very first episode, and there's like a big, spoilers, sorry.
You could spoil it.
Like a zombie outbreak on the ship. and it gets really dynamic and crazy, and there's like a spacewalk outside of the ship. It's really cool. So, I think it when it came to the action, you got to push it a little more than what you would see in the original series, but it was a lot of fun to like look at those old episodes because there's some fucking weird Star Trek episodes.
Yeah.
But there's also like really good ones too. But
I saw that you were an episode director on a show called Boons and Curses. But then is it true that this show never came to fruition and never came out on Netflix?
Yeah.
No.
Do you guys know anything about this? Like,
I don't. No.
So I was on this awesome show. So that you originally you asked like where was like the two significant or not two. He said where are the significant projects, and I referenced Unicorn. I said two, and the other one was that Boons and Curses project, because it was so cool what we were trying to do. We were very far into production. I mean, I'm trying to think, how much am I allowed to say? Who cares? Whatever. But basically, yeah, we worked really hard. We had an amazing team. Is based in like South Asian mythology, which you don't really see represented in cartoons. We were really trying to push the action and the design. And I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to direct on it, and it was an awesome experience. I mean, we were all like really good friends on the production, and we were all like super proud of what we were doing, which you don't always find. I think sometimes it's just a job, and that's fine. It's really nice when you connect with the material, and you're like, I just want to put the extra effort into it. Sometimes, but you don't have to. But this one, we all were very passionate about it, and we were really close to sending out our first episode. We like found our animation studio, and we we thought we were like. The execs were coming to like celebrate with us, and then they were like, "No, we're axing it."
That's a bummer.
That's such a bummer.
They old yellered you, dude. Yeller.
and we were all. I mean, it was a sad day. I was like in studio, and we were just, it was really it sucked, but and then there was just like, after that, I mean, I feel like we were like the start of it, because then you would hear about stuff on like Twitter, like, oh, this. Streaming services axing this production, and now it seems like it's kind of the norm. I don't know if that's just like the new streaming economy, like that's just how it's going to be, or if it's just a low point, and maybe we'll come back up and we'll have a big boom. But I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't know. I feel like there's like these two worlds. Like there's like the studio system, and then we have like YouTube, internet, like creator owned indie cartoonist, and they're I don't know. I think before it was like studios. That's where you're gonna that's where the dream is. But now I'm like, well, there's a model, for really cool stuff being made. My indie creators.
You segue that perfectly into something that I wanted to ask you. You've worked for all of these major 2D animation networks and studios. I see Warner Brothers, Titmouse, Netflix, Shadow Machine, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Sony Pictures. That's basically all of them. Like, what is your huge takeaway from working in that industry opposed to just doing it for yourself on YouTube?
So I'm buddies with MeatCanyon. I did some stuff for Monster Lab, where like, and he's doing such an interesting model. And there's other examples. Like, what was that one? Digital Circus, I think it's called.
Yeah,
I don't know. It had like
Amazing
the highest
Digital Circus. Yeah.
Yeah, and then and like Skibidi Toilet to an extent. I know it's a weird example to bring up, but it's like these things have an audience. I don't know. I feel like the audience is changing. I think there was like in the early days, it was like, oh, your thing's on YouTube. And it was kind of like, there's a little bit of disdain.
Yeah.
And that was like, and then it kind of died down. And it was almost like a battle. It was like, oh, well, studios won that one. But now, as the younger generation gets older, they care less about studio and legacy media and more about, well, this is what I grew up on. I just can jump on YouTube and I can watch these shows. So I think I think both will exist, but I do see like I don't know. I can't predict the future, but I would like to see a future where like indie studios, get bigger budgets and become more part of that economy of, linking the studio system closer together with indie animation. Because that's what's happening. I mean, you're seeing stuff that is better, in my opinion, than some studio animations, and it's just because there's these pipelines that have existed for decades, and nobody wants to they don't want to like change, because it's like, well, this is how we've been doing it. And even if you like get a project made, it's like, say if I'm like, well, Pat Kain, we animated weird YouTube shorts together at a t-shirt company before. So that's like kind of like where I feel like I'm like, yeah, that's my roots, is in YouTube weird animation. And I'll be like, so this is how I would want to make a show. So if I pitch a show to a studio, but that still has to go through their pipeline, like, well, this is how we make it, so you have to adapt to us, as opposed to them being like, well, how do you want to like do this?
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know. I think if it's going to survive, they're going to have to adapt.
100%. I agree.
By they, you mean kind of like these legacy media companies, right?
Yeah. And they and I don't know. I mean, it's like with anything. I think just like when people who consume like Twitch and YouTube and TikTok, like who don't see those things as bad, get into those roles,
yeah,
you'll start to see that crossover more, because and I mean, there's good and bad with everything. There's bad, like TikTok, I think, is like they have a negative connotation, rightfully so. But there is a way, that creators can use it to make something cool and interesting. And I think that's with like anything, whether it's streaming or whatever. So, but I do think the most all original, interesting ideas are probably going to come from the indie space. I always have to say in my opinion, because I don't want to like piss anybody off.
No, screw that.
This is just
Yeah,
me.
let's piss people off. Come on,
Dude.
let's piss people off.
Yeah, that's our job. That's our job.
Yeah.
To get piss people off.
So I that's just how I think, and I'm looking into that space too. I'm like, well, if it comes down to like studios start greenlighting less projects, and where are you gonna, people are hungry for stuff. They want good stuff. There is an audience, so who's gonna serve them?
Yeah.
Right.
If you're just gonna keep rebooting the same IP over and over again, people are gonna get sick of it.
Unless you're a Disney machine, dude, then they just start feeding you that. They force feed it to you. They strap you in the chair.
I know. Well,
I'll eat it. I'll eat it.
Yeah, no,
Give it to me.
We all eat it. Come on.
So, Ian, you mentioned Pat. How do you guys know each other?
We were both working at Titmouse, and
You and Pat? Kain?
yeah, me and Pat, and this guy walks over, and he was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I was like, "This guy's too nice. He's not from New York," because I was in New York at the time, and we started talking. I found out he was from Columbus. I grew up in Cincinnati, and we're like, "Oh shit!" Like, yeah, there's just like a Midwestern niceness that you can sense in another And we became buddies, and we actually like lost contact a little bit. He was like, I think he was working on like Superjail or something. I was kind of helping out on doing like cleans on or colors on, what's it called? Motorcity. I don't know if you remember that show.
Nice. Yeah, that's Chris Pronosky's show.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then I did I was kind of helping out on like little like flatting colors for background artists on Metalocalypse.
No shit.
Some, like,
oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then I got I started getting freelance, so I kind of quit the internship. And then but then Pat hit me up later, and he was like, "Hey, will you help me out with this like short I'm working on for my my thesis?" And I was like, "Yes." And then I never did, and I felt really bad about it. I will help you. He's like, "Will you do backgrounds?" I was like, "Yeah, dude." And I never hit him up again. And I randomly ran into him at SPX, Small Press Expo in Maryland. No, not Maryland. Is it in Maryland? Yeah, Bethesda, Maryland. And I was like, dude, hey, I feel really bad. I'm sorry I didn't like get those backgrounds, but we just partied and hung out and became really good buds there, like where our friendship solidified. And then he got a job at a t-shirt company, and I was just freelancing in New York City and had no health insurance and was freaking out and was making no money. And he was like, "You want to come out and make t-shirts and we'll do animation on the side?" And I was like, hell yeah. I was like, "Is there a regular paycheck? Is there health insurance?" Fuck yeah, let's do it. So I moved from New York to Columbus, Ohio with my girlfriend, my wife now. And I worked at this t-shirt company. I was really bad at designing t-shirts, but we somehow so we started making these like weird shorts. One was called Time Eagle Freedom Defender, which is like based on their brands. We're trying to do like a BuzzFeed thing. And they let us, basically it got the attention of a creative exec at Nickelodeon. He saw it. Kevin Lee. Thank you, Kevin. Love you, dude. He started my career in animation. But he saw it, came out and met us because his dad just happened to live in Columbus. And he's like, "You guys want to meet up?" We're like, yeah. So he's like, Nickelodeon's doing this like shorts program. People are pitching. You should get in on, if you want to pitch to us, we're looking for new stuff. So we pitched an idea. It didn't get made. Actually, one of the other artists there got one made, which was kind of cool. But anyway.
You remember what it was called or no?
I don't remember.
All right.
Wait. He saw it off of what? Are you just posting these on your socials at the time, or?
Yeah, I think he just happened to see it on YouTube, And we got a couple of viral hits that I don't know how these things go. This was like in 2014, 15.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. I assume that's how he saw it, and then from that I was able to have a contact, so I started getting tests, and also Instagram was popping off. So before, like, Instagram was just like you take a selfie and filter blah blah blah. I started uploading art, and just like constantly uploading art, and then I started getting people in the industry following me, and then they would be like, and it became like a recruiting tool. I mean, without Instagram, I wouldn't have a career, like straight up. Like,
wow,
that's what I tell people to post stuff, because you just never know who's gonna like. I still get work through Instagram constantly. Like, people will, well, not constantly, but like, I'm like enough. Yeah. I sound like an asshole. Like, I'm constantly getting work on it. No, I mean, but that's like the main avenue in which people are like, "Oh, hey, dude, I'm working on this project. Would you want to, work on? Could you do some designs, or are you available at this date?" So that's why I tell people to post stuff. It gets a little trickier because like now it's maybe getting cased by the AI. But
I know why you didn't get those backgrounds done for Pat. You were too busy eating the spaghetti noodles in your chili.
exactly. Yeah, I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you don't like? Whoa, we going in on Skyline, baby?
Shots taken, man.
I know it's an acquired taste.
Dude, we asked Pat that question too, and he was like, "You know what? I can't give you a straight answer. I don't know why the fuck we do it." It's like we just
Okay,
do
I'll
it.
be honest with you. So it took me a long ass time to like get into Skyline because I was the same. I was like, that's gross. It looks like diarrhea, and why would you put that in your body? And sometimes it will give you diarrhea if you're lucky. But I tried it one night drinking, and I was like, holy shit, it got me. It was like the perfect time. I was like, I know exactly when this food is good. You know, it's like a post hangover cure.
Hit right.
Yeah.
And just get that grease in there. It's fucking good.
But
But yeah, I love
2 p.m. on a Thursday. Just
yeah, don't eat it
having
for like breakfast. You'll ruin your day. But but yeah, you know, after that, I mean, yeah. So, but Pat, you know, we were both like getting work, and he, you know, he's like, I'm just doing it, man. I'm going out to California, and I was like, all right, I'll come too. So we went out at the same time, and I was like, it was a little rough in the beginning because I thought I had a gig lined up, but it ended up not working out. But I started getting freelance.
Well, what was the first thing you did when you got out there? How did you get the job?
So before I got out there, I was doing some freelance for Teen Titans Go. I did like a flashback sequence for their 80s episode, and that was like a decent paycheck. So that was like enough to get us out there. And then I started just hitting people up, taking tests, not getting it. You know, it wasn't easy, but eventually just, I don't know if like I said, like Instagram was popping off. It was just my lucky day, but like I just started getting work. I was just like people, you know, I got a couple of pretty big gigs, like but supported me, and then recruiters would hit me up. So
nice. So kind of jumping off the indie type thing, I went down a lot of your like Twitter and your Instagram, and there was one post that kind of stood out, and it was the one of your most recent ones about wanting to do more comics, whether it's doodles or sketches like that. What is the discipline mindset of doing that, and what can you kind of piece of knowledge can you pass around to indie creators out there who kind of want to do something consistently all the time?
Interesting. You piggybacking off what I was saying previously. I just want to be able to make something that's me, that's like purely my vision, you know.
Mhm.
And that's what I love comics. I mean, I don't know if you can see my like big wall of comics. And I went to school for comic. I went to School of Visual Arts in New York for illustration and cartooning, and so that was like, and I kind of like got into animation later, and I love animation, you know, but I wasn't like, you know, I would say comics were like my initial like starting point for like creatively, like my creative journey or whatever.
Gateway drug.
Yeah, that's what, like, you know, and I always try to reference it when in my animation, you know. But in terms of like, I think it's important for creators to, I mean, I it's always like a grass is greener, because I remember when I first started out, I was desperately trying to get into a studio gig, you know, like that was like, everything was like towards that goal. And now that I'm here, it's great, you know, and I mean, it's a little tough right now because there's not a lot of shows being greenlit, so there's people out of a job, and it really sucks to an extent as well. But I always think you should like rely on yourself because that's what people are going to find interesting. So, you know, take the time to really like produce the thing that you want to make, and don't worry about like if you're ready, because you're never ready. Like I'm like, I've been talking about like, I got this graphic novel in my head that I've been thinking about for the past 5 fucking years. And it's like, well, just do it then.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? It's
Totally.
like, oh, so it has to be perfect. I have to like see it exactly how it is in my head. And it's like, nah, dude, just do it. Just like, and you'll figure it out. Like I think people that you have to like give into like, oh, well, that idea that I thought was cool sucks. But if I think but maybe it leads to this other idea that's actually like really fun. So with me and my comics, like my journey, like storyboarding has like immensely sped up my process. I want to experiment in using that in comics. Like my whole process of like, because I use like Storyboard Pro, and I'm like, oh, I could, I'd bust out like thousands of drawings for a board. Why can't I just thumb out a whole comic in this program and then make a bunch of PNGs, and then I can take the time and do, work in Procreate, or I can print it out. I can do like an actual, that's like the fun part is like, it's all fun, but it's like, I can just like kind of turn my brain off because I'm just making it look pretty, So that has excited me to like, to like start making stuff. And then also just like not wanting, cause like if you try to pitch, in the studio system, it can take so long to get things made. It's just like, I know projects that have taken up to like 7 years. And I'm like, how would you? That would drive me nuts.
Yeah, I'd be like, I forgot about that one. It's
I'm
done with that one. Yeah.
But imagine, like, as an indie creator, you can just, I have that idea. Boom, just do it. There's no red tape. There's no like finding the right, And I think a lot of the times, like studios are like obsessed with like, we got this, we got someone who wrote on Breaking Bad, or we got this actor, and I think. Like that's like for a while that was like, that was a big high selling point. But like I said, as the new generation, like don't care about those guys as much, like that won't have the same clout it did in the next 10 years. So I think, just make it. Like, why do we have all this red tape? Like that's like what the indie scene has over the studio is like things just take so damn long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, studios should adapt to that. Be like, all right, let's like speed this process up, because you're gonna have, especially with like AI and shit.
Yeah.
Like people are just gonna like, I don't know. It's gonna be a wild world.
Well, speaking of the new generation of audiences and artists, what would you tell someone who's trying to be a storyboard artist if they want to get better at storyboarding? Do you have any advice for how they can do that?
Yeah. Well, one, you got to make stuff. Studying is good, but you should be making projects for yourself. Whether it's like, I'm always like for like if somebody was like, I really liked, I don't know, what's a big show?
Over the Garden Wall.
Over the Garden Wall, I want to do something with Over the Garden Wall characters, that's fine. You can do that. I think it's a little bit of a disservice to you, because I think if you make original characters, it shows your voice a little more, as opposed to people like just looking at the characters like from the IP that they know. But I think watch a lot of movies, watch a lot of different movies. Don't just like get stuck. I think a lot of people just kind of consume the same media, and so you start to see a bit of repetition. This is like answers that everybody has said before, but it's probably because it's true. You gotta like, look at old movies, because you'd be surprised. I just watched fucking have you guys seen Escape from Alcatraz?
Yeah.
Yes.
With Clint
Great
Eastwood?
movie. Great movie.
Fantastic.
Yeah, great movie. Fucking Shawshank Redemption like ripped
Yeah,
off, like
totally.
seemed
Totally.
like almost to the. I'm like, holy shit, this is a Shawshank Redemption. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I was
Spielberg
like,
rips nobody off, dude. Spielberg rips nobody off, dude.
I mean, I love Shawshank Redemption. I'm not not talking shit towards Shawshank, but like I was like, holy shit, like so like look at where I was like there's like Turner Classic Movies, Criterion Collection. Watch different stuff. See how people break the rules. I like, to me, like mistakes is like texture, so I kind of like it when stuff breaks, oh, you broke the 180 rule. I'm like, yeah, but if it's working in the moment, then who gives a shit? Like, because I watched Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, the first one, recently, and I fucking love that movie. It's great.
Ian,
and
these guys have never watched Lord of the Rings.
I
It's
have.
Fred and
I have.
Bob.
Fred
don't.
haven't.
What the fuck?
Dude, I've tried 3 times and I fall asleep within the first like 15 minutes. Maybe I'm watching it at the wrong time, or
did you just have like a big like bowl of chili and like you're
Maybe,
like
dude,
you're
maybe-
like
maybe
this big
it's like
turkey
a curse.
dinner and I'm like, ooh, all right, let's watch some Lord of the
Starts at
Rings.
11 p.m.
Yeah.
I've read the books. Like I want to like the movie. Every time I start watching it, I'm like, I can't start this long endeavor.
I think if you
Man.
would have watched it at the time, you would have really enjoyed it. But you waited way too long. You waited.
You know what it is?
20 years.
Yeah.
Dude, I know you got cell phone brain. You know what I'm saying? We all
Yeah,
got the
hey.
fucking.
Well, no,
We all got a little cell
to
phone
an
brain.
extent. No, I sort of believe that, but I go watch old movies. Like I like watching. Like I just recently watched like all the old Godzilla movies. Like
Oh, nice.
I can still invest in something. It's just that movie in particular, for some reason, I just can't sit there. I don't know.
Doesn't do it for you.
Every
Doesn't
that's good taste in what is good is subjective. It's fine, but in this case, you're very wrong. But I was saying that movie has all these continuity errors where you're like, when you've watched it like 900 times, like I have, you see them, but when you're in the moment, you're like, I don't give a fuck. I mean, I'm just enjoying the movie. Unless you're Fred. Fred doesn't like it. Yeah. But yeah. So I would just, sorry. It was kind of a long-winded way of saying, watch a lot of media. Read books. Also, be interested, if you can, outside of animation. Because then you can bring something that nobody has seen before. A perspective. Like, I'm really into hiking.
Lord of the Rings, walking.
Yeah, there you go. There's a lot of walking. A lot of walking.
Well, particularly like about the craft of storyboarding, though, I feel like if you scroll long enough down your feed of where you used to be as an artist, I feel like you started in a place where it was really tight line work, very clean, and now you go to the recent pages and it's grungy, it's rough, it's textured. There's a lot of there's way more personality.
No, I agree.
It also feels like you're paying more attention to parts of the drawing and less to others, because it makes it more intriguing as someone looking at it. I don't know if that made sense or not.
No, that's funny. That's funny that you say that, because storyboarding, in terms of how it affected my like illustration work, it forced me to loosen up, because you can't be precious. You can't spend that's because like I said, I came from illustration and cartooning. So when I first got into storyboarding, like I wanted every drawing to be like great, because that's just my weird illustration brain like coming in and being like, but that's not the purpose of storyboarding. Storyboarding is story. So whether sometimes you'll do a gesture that's so good, it just hits the action perfectly, or it's just like, it's such a funny expression, and you try to clean it up and that charm is gone, So I leaned into that in terms of it loosened me up. It forced me to be like, all right, who cares? Since so much of storyboarding is invisible, anyway. Like whenever you look at like a art of Ninja Turtles or art of whatever, there's like 2 pages dedicated to storyboarding. Like nobody sees that. It's like the rest is just design. Look at these beautiful backgrounds. This is what it is. The art of storyboarding is, so, our we're sort of behind the scenes, but it's where you're informing a lot of like things that, at some point someone's going to have to make for the final movie. And so the faster, you are, it's the better. But like storyboarding is also forced me to think more in terms of like drawing. Almost like you almost like come up with the scene in your head before you even put anything down on paper or on the tablet. So like once I kind of like can see it, once I can kind of see the movie play in my head, then I can be like, oh, I know this shot. Yes, I want this shot. And then when you're in the process of making it, you get other little ideas that are like, oh, then I should have this character come in here. Oh, that'd be really funny. Or like, oh shit. Oh, then
Nice.
So it's like, so it all kind of informs each other. But storyboarding, it just teaches you not to be precious. So I think that then, led to my kind of like personal illustration work where I was like, all right, I like movement.
It's cool. It's action packed.
Yeah.
But I like a lot of things, I'm not like when I think of, people like I have a style or whatever, I don't like think of it as like drawing the same like head on every character. I'm like style is for me is my like I it's just inherent within me, like how I hold a pencil. Like it's almost a physical thing beyond like oh, I like to draw like superhero style or whatever. It's like I like to jump in those worlds. Like I've worked in like kids shows, I've worked on like action shows, and I've done like viz dev and all this stuff. And you could say like they're different styles, but like just the way I approach the image, it all kind of like you can all kind of tell it's from the same guy, and that to me is like style. Like it's just something you can't escape.
Yeah, for sure.
Fred and Bob, we got any final questions before we wrap things up?
No, I think that was pretty awesome. Thank you, Ian.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Thank you, Ian.
So,
thanks,
Ian, we
guys.
usually like to end the show the same way by asking our guests the same question. You mentioned a few things already: Escape from Alcatraz, Lord of the Rings. But what other books and content, movies, anything that you're consuming right now? What are you watching? What are you reading?
Let's see. I'll just look around. Watch Scavengers Reign. If you haven't watched that, the show's fucking awesome.
Beautiful.
I mean, that's an non-traditional pipeline. Those guys did it in a very weird, interesting way. I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything beyond that, but you see the results. It's this very unique, awesome looking show that it looks nothing like anything out there. And insane to me that they haven't announced a second season.
It's coming. It's coming for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They'd be nuts not to do that. Yeah, but for sure.
Here, a book. I like this book. You ever heard of The Fisherman?
No.
By John Langan.
I have not.
If you're into horror with a Lovecraftian bent,
Okay.
but not Lovecraftian in the sense of feeling, not so much like there's giant squid monsters. It's more like just feeling the terror of being insignificant.
Ooh.
That's dark. I like
very
that.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's a really great book. I was a big fan of that. Do I have a comic? I got so many damn books. My wife's gonna kill me. Do you guys? Yeah, I got this bad boy. If you're into, like, I mean, I know this guy is like one of my art heroes. Richard Corbin.
Cool.
He
Sick.
does these like big nude sexy barbarian guys.
Ooh.
And
Right up Fred's alley.
it's awesome.
Me likey.
Dude, it's awesome. He's like such a beast. I mean, like, and he kind of goes between that realistic cartoon, like he's a cartoonist, but he can render the fuck out of like a veiny arm holding a battle axe.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
So Richard Corbin, Den, that just came out.
Nice.
That's volume 2. I have the first one too.
Nice.
But yeah, that's just some stuff. I don't know. Check that out.
Yeah.
Sweet.
If you want.
Ian, thank you again for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Again,
No, thanks for having me.
everyone out there, be sure and like, follow, and subscribe. Check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/wearethetelevision. Buy a mug. Go watch some of Ian's stuff. Go check out his socials. Creep on him. We'll link all the stuff in the description. We'll catch you guys on the next one.